This is the 67th Test from the Future, an experimental podcast from the year 2222, which we are sending from our present to yours. My name is Dirk.
And my name is Simon.
And we're putting the past in podcast. Before we start, there's a fly flying around in the room.
Really annoying, a really buzzing fly.
We've opened up all the windows. Mm-hmm. It's not flying out. We've opened up the doors. We've started waving things at it.
It's been here since last night. I'm particularly tired right now because it kept waking me up throughout the night. So I did not sleep well yesterday.
And it's, I mean,
so
of course,
maybe it will get picked up here on the podcast too.
And of course, it's illegal to kill animals, but I can totally feel...
Or to teleport them without their consent. So we can't just teleport it out of here.
Exactly. So I can totally understand maybe some of the people that lived in past centuries that still did that, especially with flies. You know, I understand how you feel. But on the other hand, it's a really nice bridge to the actual topic of the episode, because talking about illegal things, we went to a Bacchanal.
Yeah, the both of us. For this here podcast, as legitimate research.
We did research, so we're even doing illegal things, just so our listeners can learn more about the 23rd century.
That's how much we care about the show and them.
We both felt really uncomfortable, but that's just what we do for the show.
Yep.
You want to explain what they are for the people who didn't?
Yeah, well, I think we've mentioned it before, but of course, for people who haven't heard that, and also just as a reminder, so they are places where people can go, where you can do all kinds of things that are normally illegal. For example, drinking alcohol, smoking cigarettes, eating meat, and so on. They're organized by robots. Yep. Humans aren't the ones organizing them.
And there are things that are normally illegal. They're also still illegal at Bacchanals. Maybe that's
right. It's not that it's legal there, but rather how they work is no one knows where they really are, so they can't be shut down.
Exactly, and that's also the thing where Bacchanals themselves are also illegal,
of course,
because of the actual activities taking place. So officially, there should be no Bacchanals, and when you organize them, you risk fines and so on. And
so that's why robots are the ones organizing it, because instead of getting themselves in trouble, they'll make a duplicate of themselves. That duplicate will run the Bacchanal and at the end dispose of itself.
And also all the things that you do in Bacchanals, eating meat, smoking cigarettes, that's nothing where robots...
They have no interest in it themselves.
Exactly. So it's really the particular things that us weak bodies...
compared to robot bodies.
Yeah, fair enough. But that our bodies are open to or...
susceptible to. We enjoy them.
Exactly,
bodies, at least.
That's the word. And also are historically prone to be drawn to these kind of things. Robots have none of these. So I've always imagined that they kind of take pleasure in it, where...
the robots.
Yeah, exactly. So to just set this up and see people drinking alcohol, getting drunk and so on, we don't have that look at these humans, and then actually make money from it.
Maybe. I mean, that's, I think, the main reason is as a business. Yeah. But maybe, it can be both.
And it's good business, as far as I understand. So they're...
Yeah, because they're not legal, there's not so many of them. You know, if it was a legal thing, presumably it would be... they wouldn't be so special. And as it is, there's very few of them, and so they can charge much higher prices.
I mean, they consider it risk pay. That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
So why is it so expensive? Because it's illegal. You know, you risk a fine, and then you lose all the profit you've made.
Yeah.
So, but the challenge was to actually get to one.
Right.
And to be fair, we didn't actually come up with the idea ourselves. Right. So
sure, right. It wasn't like we thought off the top of our heads, let's go to this to research it. But we got it so we got tickets to it as a present from X.
Yeah. Yeah, they got their hands on them, and then of course X is a robot. Sure, he now has 2 tickets, and he could either kind of try to sell them on, but he thought, hey, I know some humans,
and humans like these things.
Yeah, and maybe Dirk and Simon like to go, and I think we immediately jumped on the idea we could go and then do a podcast episode about it. We even considered doing the
from there, doing the show from the Bacchanal itself. Yeah,
but then we checked. I mean, interesting. You can't actually get in touch with the organizers. It's just the ticket.
Ticket has a not the location of the Bacchanal itself, but the first teleportation coordinates.
Yeah.
And you go there, and then from that point on, you don't know where you're going. You're teleported several times in quick succession, and you end up there. And at that point, you don't know where you are in the world.
And it's basically the location where you're teleporting to the first time. That's the one you know. But right there are people or robots that are basically then programming the next teleporter for you. So you don't get to see where you're going. Next location, I think we've had 4 jumps.
Sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah. And then to get there. But basically, I could check with X up front, and he would basically forward the question, and then at one point I got the answer back, can we record at a location?
And they said no.
No way.
That's fair.
Yeah, so I guess if you're actually trying to expose them, you wouldn't actually be asking these kind of questions, so we kind of give ourselves
maybe from the organizer's perspective, it might be a double bluff. No one would be foolish enough to ask for this. But okay, we really are.
Yeah, but either way, I can understand that.
Yeah,
so if it's illegal, hey, can we
record
this?
Regardless of them being found out, the whole part of the point of it is that what you do there stays there. If we're recording, even if we're just recording ourselves, maybe we accidentally record something someone else is doing.
Yeah, and whoever is there and so on. So hey, let's interview some people at this illegal party. Yeah, okay, I totally understand that. So this fly is now hovering completely still.
It's pretty static. Normally they zip around a lot more.
Yes, but it was zipping around before, but now it's completely... And it's also looking at us.
Listening to us, maybe. Entranced by our words. Very, very weird. Flies don't usually do that.
Now it's circling again.
Ah, okay. Back to its normal behavior.
It's weird. It was just like it was looking at us. Okay, whatever.
Like I say, it was listening, like really enjoying what we were saying.
Okay, maybe it's not a fly. Maybe it's... Okay, whatever. But yeah, so we don't actually know where I was. I know Bad City is known for Bacchanals. Apparently, a lot of Bacchanals are hosted there.
Yeah, like not officially, but it seems to be that's where people hear of them happening.
Yeah. So maybe we've been there.
Maybe.
As I didn't see any Indonesian people.
Right, they're either, so you can't really tell when you're in there. They're underground, or the windows are all blacked out, but the point is you can't see outside.
It's totally indoors. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But I liked how it had this kind of medieval look when you looked from afar. But I don't know if you did. But when you got really close to the stone walls that looked like brick and mortar, it was completely flat surface. So it wasn't actually brick, but it looked like
not brick, like really rocks, like stones.
Exactly, that's what it looked like. But it was completely the surface was completely flat. But from a distance, it looked like we were in some sort of wine cellar or something like that, but that was definitely
an illusion. Yeah.
So maybe we still were in one, but there was one with flat, fake rock walls. So we split up. It was pretty big location actually.
It was, and we were just there for the day. We didn't have hotel tickets or the like.
And I have to say I didn't try the meat.
It was what was the reason you didn't? I also didn't, but what was it that made you decide not to?
To be honest, it didn't look tasty.
Good reason.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, it's supposed to be. So they're actually meat is actually dead animals. Yeah. And it didn't look tasty. Like it didn't look like good quality. It didn't look, and it just felt really weird eating dead animals. That can't be healthy, even done once.
Sure.
Like just imagine it. I mean, it's essentially a corpse. You're eating a corpse, and you can't tell me it's been heated, it's been prepared. There's spices, you don't taste it, whatever. So I know I've.
Even though you were there and you knew you had the opportunity, but you did not want to. Yeah.
I already feel bad enough on vegetarian Fridays. It's like the whole week I'm eating vegan, but on vegetarian Fridays we say, no, you can eat vegetarian, and then most of the time I still eat just vegan, even on vegetarian Fridays. But for me, that's as far as I want to go. But the meat. But you didn't try the meat either.
I mean, I didn't try it when we were there because, I mean, when I was younger, I used to eat it. Remember, I'm a bit older than you, so when I was a kid, it was still normal to eat meat. So I don't particularly miss it. I haven't had it in a long time, so it didn't have that same kind of allure that I think it does for people who've grown up never even tasting it.
Yeah, but there were, like, most of the people were eating meat.
Sure,
and
yeah.
They did seem to enjoy themselves.
Yeah.
But, of course...
I think a lot of them would have had upset tummies the next day. If they're not used to it. It depends how often they go, of course. But if it was like a once-in-a-lifetime thing for them, they definitely would have felt pretty funky the next day.
I also think that, of course, you could drink alcohol. And it's basically... With alcohol, you get drunk.
Yeah.
And I think if you get drunk, your decisions are maybe less...
Okay, and that's maybe why a lot of people were eating the meat.
Yes, at least like because we were relatively early, and early on when I wanted the halls, the one with like the alcohol hall was by far the most popular one.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I noticed, I don't know if you saw it, were lots of people holding these glass rectangles in their hands. And as they walked around, they would sometimes bump into either other people or to walls or whatever, because they were so focused on these rectangles in their hand. And when I asked someone, what are you doing? They explained that they were tweeting about the alcohol they had just drank and the meat they had just eaten. And that's part of it too. Yeah, part of being able to use social media. Is what it used to be called 200 years ago, anti-social media as we know it. It's been illegal for such a long time, so that's also one of the things people enjoy to do.
That's what these glass devices were for. I had no idea.
It's partly the performance of it, because sure, you could do it on your lens, but no, you want to show to everyone else in the room that you're not paying attention to them because you're writing about that tasty steak or whatever that you just ate.
But they were constantly holding them up in the sky. I thought they were detecting something. Like they had them in their hand. I'm just... the Statue of Liberty.
I saw that. A lot of the time they were walking and bumping into other people and looking down. But then, sometimes they would hold it up above their heads maybe and make a funny face and look at it. Apparently, they were taking photos of themselves, and then they were sharing those. They were tweeting those photos.
I thought they were basically getting a signal or something when they were holding it up.
I mean, I can see how it would have looked like that. But I asked. They were taking selfies, is what it was.
But they were tweeting. Hold on. They were talking about Twitter. Is that the thing?
I think so, yeah. I think that's like... it doesn't exist now, of course, like in the real world, but in the Bacchanals, they have their own, like, I don't know, mini version of it. Because it can't go outside of it, of course. But then within there, everyone can follow you and can see what kind of debauchery
within the
you're up to.
Bacchanal.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what they were doing. So they were actually talking to each other on that.
Yeah. Well, maybe not talking to, but at least talking at.
At each other.
Yeah.
Okay. Man, that's weird.
Super weird. But you enjoy eating meat.
Yeah, but I mean, they were basically
drinking booze, smoking cigarettes. You love telling people about it.
Did you try anything? I tried the booze, to be honest.
Yep. I drank so much.
You do? Okay.
Of course. That's what you go there. Well, that's what I go there for, or what I went there for. I don't go often, honest.
But the thing is, like, the meat looked super unappetizing.
Right. But the drinks, at least the ones I had, looked delicious and were delicious.
I mean, it's the same with the cigarettes. That just when I entered that room, that smelled horrible. You want to try some of this?
I like the smell, but then when I stayed in that room for too long, I started to feel sick. I guess there was too much in that particular room, yeah. And then, but the smell also wasn't good for you?
Not in the cigarette room.
Sure.
But with the cigars, at the end, I actually did try a cigar.
Yeah. How did you find it?
I liked it better when I wasn't smoking it myself. That's apparently that's still super unhealthy, just being around there. But that was the thing. Like in the beginning, everybody was gathering in the alcohol hall, and then that they had so many different variations. It felt like this whole world of drink entertainment that we don't have. We have different colors and some different tastes, but that was such a variety that I don't normally know. And you could basically get anything you want because it was like flat fee. And then when you're drinking it, it didn't immediately feel bad. Like with cigarettes, with meat, and some of the other stuff, you immediately notice this is really bad for me. But with alcohol, that wasn't the case. Nope. It was basically after
often there would be a really nice sensation, but not of feeling drunk or anything, but just a really nice warm sensation.
Yeah. I mean, some of the stuff, I have to say, was really bad. Is it like they had some variations where it was like, I don't know, 40% alcohol, and then it was just really bad crap.
Okay.
But some of it was like pineapple taste with some sort of like alcoholic spike in it. So I can definitely understand that people got addicted to this in the past, because it's pineapple. How can this be wrong? But after you've had the third pineapple drink, then suddenly you start to notice, and then it's like retrospectively going like, so that's why it's bad.
Sure, yeah. When especially before it was all made illegal and we didn't have cyborg chips, these effects would have been permanent or would have accumulated over the years. Yeah,
I guess.
The smoking would have caused damage to your lungs. The drinking damaged your liver.
I mean, that's why they had us pause our cyborg chips when we came in, because
so that we could appreciate it.
They would immediately start to correct the negativity that our bodies would experience. So, but with alcohol, this was basically the moment you start to notice the bad effects of the first drink you've already had the third. That was some really nasty things. So because with the older stuff, I could immediately understand why we're not supposed to be doing that anymore.
And with the alcohol, you didn't.
Not immediately, but just like after the third drink, you realize that the first one was bad. But after the third drink, this is when I tried the cigar.
One led to the other.
Did you speak to anybody?
I mean, like I say, I asked people questions. I didn't get into any longer conversations, so not anything like that. Yourself?
I've started initially not after the third drink.
Okay, then you were more talkative.
Yeah, but that seemed to be the case for everybody. In the beginning, everybody was just focused on how can I get most of because everybody paid a lot of money to get there. How can I consume the most meat and the most whatever? At one point, everybody just started chatting to each other.
That's the point. At some point, like I know we were there the whole day, but beyond a certain point, I can't remember what happened. So maybe during that time, I talked with some people in more depth.
It's a good point, actually. I can't remember the end.
I remember
either.
I remember waking up, back at home. I don't remember how I got there exactly.
I remember that I activated the cyborg chip again on my way back. It's basically you get the teleport hopping again when you leave, and then at one point between one of the hops, I activated the cyborg chip again, and that's when my body started correcting everything. So I do remember getting home, but I don't remember the end of the party. We should have checked the cams.
I mean, we had to disable them.
True.
Like with the cyborg chips, and us recording a podcast, it would have been pretty funny if they allowed us to leave our cams on.
Yeah, probably. And the cam
if there were any cams on at all.
Yeah, that's probably not the case. I hadn't even thought of that checking. I only thought of that now. But but I started at the end of the party. I started chatting more to people, but mostly about their dresses, because I didn't realize, but everybody dressed up historically.
Yeah,
I like the. There was a whole group that was all wearing what they call jogging suits. And they were basically
really soft clothing, yeah,
and also really wide, and they had really bright colors like bright mint green and bright pink. They all had different combinations and light blue as well. Yeah, apparently it was from the 1980s. They were explaining,
right?
Whatever, I didn't recognize.
Right, those were the people who were really enjoying the cocaine as well.
It was basically. You pick a period in history where this stuff was still fine. So there were people dressed like cavemen or medieval knights or 1980s jogging suits or whatever. And so I basically, whenever I didn't recognize something, I would go talk to them and they would explain. They were the people from the 2070s. That was when they started banning a lot of this stuff.
Right, yeah.
So they were all dressed up like guerrillas. So like tattoos and so on. I mean, that was. I also didn't recognize that. So.
Sure, not from daily life.
No, exactly the 2070s. I mean, when I say tattoos, meat tattoos and cigarette tattoos and so on. Yeah, that's what they had. They were fake. Apparently, in the 2070s, they were real tattoos. So.
Sure, yeah, right. The people at the Bacchanal, they hadn't really got tattooed.
Did you see anything else that noticed?
I saw a few punch-ups. So people fighting.
Ah, really?
Like physically, like not just talking mean to one another, but punching each other in the faces, kicking each other in the nuts.
Okay, like just spontaneously, or was it organized?
So, because I was walking through when it happened, it wasn't quite clear, because it wasn't like a ring or anything. They were just there on the floor with people all around them. But right, there was a commentator, someone shouting out what was going on. So maybe it was organised in some level.
I think I saw signs like with fists on them pointing in certain directions, but I didn't follow those.
Yeah.
Okay.
We need to go back to find out about that.
Or maybe we should check that out next time.
That's what I mean. No, not right now.
But maybe that was definitely then part of it as well, because
sure, fighting is also not allowed.
Yeah,
physically, hurting one another.
Did you? I heard some discussions about making Bacchanals legal. Did you hear this?
Yeah. Or at least a lot of the things within the Bacchanals to make them. Then you wouldn't need the Bacchanal anymore. Yeah.
Well, you could still have the Bacchanal.
Sure, to isolate it to one place.
Yeah.
Or several places, but that it's not in everyday life, just on the street.
At least the people were saying, you just don't disable your cyborg chip, so all the negative effects don't actually enter your body, and then you can still enjoy everything. But I think
that would take away a lot of the fun from it.
Exactly, like if the alcohol and the cigarettes and the meat don't make you sick, then why take them in the first place? Like, because we already have all the...
Well, the punching, I mean, maybe if people really enjoy punching each other and kicking each other, I mean, that would still have value for them. But sure, the smoking and the drinking, if your body is, or the cyborg chip is cancelling out the effects of it, you wouldn't really notice it.
And I think that's the whole appeal of it, because we have a whole world out there that is totally fine. And I think the whole appeal of a Bacchanal is I'm doing illegal stuff. Because I think a lot of people didn't feel really good, at the party already.
Sure. Right, even before they got home.
Yeah.
But some of the things, like social media, that mustn't be made legal again. No, that's something to keep isolated. Because isolated in that way, where it can't go beyond the walls, I mean, it seems kind of weird that you're bumping into things all the time, but sure, whatever. It doesn't affect the outside world.
Yeah, but it's also... some of these things have been around for centuries. Eating meat, apparently, humanity has done for a very long time. Like social media has been like a blink, like a trend, like for a few years, and then it was gone again. So
yeah,
I think that's maybe a nice bridge to our listener questions.
Yeah, I think so too. But they're more. So we asked questions a while ago, and we've actually been receiving some answers.
Yeah, exactly. It's actually not listener questions, it's host questions. We ask the questions, it's listener answers.
Yep. Now we're going to... So what are we talking about?
I think it was the episode about the down-to-earth camps where we were explaining how some of these camps exist where people have to gather their own food and everybody is really bad at it. And then we were speculating, how did the people in the past gather their food? We have our Congos, we want to have pineapple pizza, we have pineapple pizza printed through a Congo and then we enjoy that.
Yeah.
But how did they do it in the past without Congos? And we asked, or listeners delivered. Yeah,
and we got so we didn't just get one or two; we got many. So we have put together the answers, like pulled them and taken from them what we understand and summarized them basically. We can let's go through them. I mean, we can take turns, I guess. So the first thing is that they seem to eat meat a lot, but they don't hunt it. It's not like they're going after it with a shotgun or a rocket launcher or something.
I saw that. Yeah.
Instead, they keep the animals like locked up. I guess like in a prison, but they keep them alive. And then when they want to eat some meat, they kill them. But it's not that everyone's doing this in their own house, like having a little prison cell where they keep an animal and then they kill it. It's done somewhere else.
That's also what I understood. Like every place where people are, they have a person or a company in charge of killing animals.
It seems really messed up.
I feel hungry. Let's kill an animal but that's what most people were saying. Yeah. I mean, that's at least how I understand how they are describing
from the descriptions, right? And then, sorry, you can say the next.
Yeah, it's the other thing that I noticed was if they are in need of a certain food, they have to go find it in a shop. So it's basically they go to a shop, and then it's not just to find the shop. But then within the shop,
right, they have to
find
hunt.
The food.
Or, I'm saying the word hunt. Not hunt like with a shotgun, like I say, but search. They have to search. It's not like they know where things are, because apparently things get moved around all the time.
Exactly. So they want to have potatoes. They go to a store, and then
within that store, I mean, the store is still in the same place usually, it hasn't moved to a different address.
But somewhere in the store are potatoes.
Yeah.
And you either have to learn that or ask around, or it's that seems, as far as I understand it, shopping takes a lot of time.
A lot of time and effort, it sounds like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you've bought the food, you take it home with you. And I mean, I guess, so from what I understood, it's not just that people buy what they want to eat that day. They actually buy a lot of food, take it home, store a bunch of it, and then it's their responsibility to also take care that it doesn't decay before they eat it.
Exactly. It's like either they have to go to the store basically permanently whenever they're hungry.
Ah, yeah, right, like for every meal.
Yeah, exactly. So they're basically going to the store, going back home, eat, go back to the store, buy the next meal, or they buy meals in advance, and then the food decays. So by the time they get to the meal, the food isn't good anymore.
Yeah. Or, I mean, right, they have to take care that doesn't happen is what it sounds like.
What I found really interesting is that it's not just that they buy the food readily made.
Right, no, they buy things that they turn into the food they want to eat.
It's basically, they feel like shepherd's pie. They don't buy shepherd's pie. They buy potatoes and mushrooms and whatever goes in shepherd's pie. I have no idea. And then they have a whole bunch of equipment at home, all kinds of things. I didn't recognize
all kinds
most
of
of the
machines,
words. Yeah, exactly. All kinds of devices where I have no idea what they do, but they say you use this device, you make that with that potato, and then you do the mushrooms, and then blah 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 blah.
And they don't just have one universal device; they have so many.
Exactly, and then so that's that feels like you have to study for that.
Yeah, and right, because then doing all that work, apparently the minimum was 60 minutes a day that it took people to prepare. Like they spent that much time every day doing this stuff to the food to
like
make
1
it so they
hour
could eat
a
it.
day to prepare.
At
food.
minimum, yeah, some people more.
That man, it's
and they didn't even live that long, you know. Like we live so long, okay, I'll take my time, but they had much shorter lives.
We have more time, but need less of it. We should give some of our time to our listeners.
Right.
Because basically,
Well, I guess we could spend longer making our food. Nah, that's silly.
I mean, for me, how I understand it, summarizing, if the people in the 21st century have a craving for guacamole, right?
Yeah.
They have to leave the house. First thing,
Right.
I want guacamole, let's go outside.
And remember, they didn't have teleporters, so they had to, I guess, walk.
Actually,
or some
exactly.
other.
So first find a store, go into the store. In the store, search for the ingredients. They don't search for guacamole, they search for tomato and avocado and whatever goes in guacamole. And then they have that. They have to go home again, find all the different
machines that they need,
and then
devices or whatever.
prepare all of it, and then they have to eat it immediately
Because it will go bad.
because it's like they need to then still be hungry, because if they then don't want guacamole anymore, it's not like they can use it the next day. Then forget about it. Repeat. That's insane. And then we didn't even cover the part about killing animals.
Right.
Just imagine that, kill an animal, and then what you're gonna have to do between that before you actually have your steak. Yeah, that's just so. I at least for my part, I got a lot more respect for the people in the 21st century. You know, besides the killing animal bit, maybe not so much, but everything else, we really respect you guys. We don't often realize how easy we have it and how tough our listeners have it. So I'm happy to have gained this knowledge.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone who sent us the answers to our questions.
Okay, that's a wrap.
That is, and now let's flip it. You answered our questions now. Thank you very much. When you would like to ask us questions that we should answer, please email us at michaellasagna5@gmail.com and put the number 67 in the subject so that we know you're replying to this and that this episode successfully went back in time. And then ask your questions, we shall answer them.
Exactly. Another successful test, hopefully sent back to the past. Okay. Thank you for listening, and see you in 2 minutes.
Bye-bye.